today and talk a little bit about how I live divergently and how that has changed my life over the years. I'm a Smallbone. I'm a tree whisperer and I'm a healer in my ancestors' traditions. Once I finally decided to truly live a divergent life and stop trying to live the neurotypical way of 9 to 5 and every day and go, go, go. It all started to make sense. I was a photographer for 25 years, and especially here in Canada, photography is a very seasonal job. So you have a peak season and you have a low season. And when I was doing that career, I was really happy. Can't say I was healthy, but I was really happy because I got to live this very cyclical life of, you know, on the weekends, I would have to socialize. And then all week, I could just hide in my computer room and do all the editing and not interact with society. And that's how I naturally learned how to balance my internal battery, my social battery. Was my job actually created that natural kind of ebb and flow to my energy. And for me, that's exactly what I need to have to be balanced, especially mentally. And physically too, because I need to have bursts of energy. Like after this, I'm gonna do some weightlifting, and that always makes my body happy. But this idea of we need to have a natural rhythm that makes sense for us and our bodies, and what our bodies will do when we haven't found that natural rhythm. It will convince us that we don't need sleep. It will convince us that we don't need food. Our bodies will convince us that we can literally just run on adrenaline all the time and go, 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 go. But when you understand that being divergent means that we start out with less capacity every single day, and that a neurotypical starts out with a fire with 12 flames, and we start out with a fire of like 5 flames, and then we need to use that fire. Hey, good morning, everybody. We need to use those flames from the fire to like make our food in the morning, to have a shower, to get our bags ready to go to work. We're already using our energy just to do the basic things. A neurotypical doesn't use any of their fire to get going in the morning. They have a brain that creates natural routines. Yeah, no, I'm not overthinking any of this because I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense to y'all. Good morning from India. Thanks for joining. Um, and here's the piece is when you actually realize that a neurodivergent brain needs an ebb and flow. I'm in Canada. I live in a little community called Puslinch, just outside of Guelph, south of Toronto. Oh, thank you. So here's the thing, we need this natural ebb and flow because we don't have as many social batteries. We don't have as many batteries to like go throughout the day. What do I do? My profession? I'm actually a forest whisperer. And I know that most people, oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Oh, you're of Viking origin. Well, I'm actually a Saxon. So I'm a Saxon faith healer or a whisperer or a energy worker, most people don't understand what that is, so I don't really talk about it. Saxons were who came to England. I'm from England. I ended up in Canada in a forest somehow. Um, and my ancestors worked with fire and they worked with the trees to heal their communities. Um, oh, all of our bloodlines. There is not anybody, um, there's not anybody on this planet that doesn't have an ancestor that did something wrong. So we all need to just realize that we are universally one. Your ancestors and my ancestors were connected. We're connected. We are all connected. And that if we realize that we are doing harm to ourselves, and what I mean as a divergent individual is, hey, from Brazil, thanks for joining. As a divergent individual, if we are living in a neurotypical world, we're actually doing harm to ourselves. Hey, from Hawaii, thanks for joining. And that doesn't mean that neurotypicals are wrong and divergents are right. We just have a completely different way of being in the world. Um, our brains are actually physically different. My brain looks nothing like a neurotypical's brain, and their brain looks nothing like mine. They fire differently. So when we force ourselves to live in a neurotypical way and do the 9 to 5 and do a very strict way of living, and we don't take our foot off the gas, it can be very hard. And I will tell you, I didn't learn how to live divergently properly until I was 46. So I lived neurotypically for 46 years, and that did harm to my body. I've actually started going deaf because I hear so much more than the average person. I hear it all, and it's all loud. I hear everything at the same volume. So when I was a kid, I would yell really loud, and my voice was really, really loud because I was trying to overcompensate for all the noise. So when I started going deaf, that was kind of start of the like aha for me. Like, why are my ears hurting? And then as soon as I started living and understanding how much pain my body was in, I started removing some of those things. So I wear noise canceling headphones when I can. Even out here in the country, like, look where I'm, like, here, I'll turn you around. Look where I live, people. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. This is where I live with my dog. Um, and I'm sitting on my porch here. But I still have to wear these because the leaves on the trees, the wind, the sound from the farms around me, the sound from all the buzzing and vibrating of all my technical gadgets, they overstimulate my body. And when I learned how to be less overstimulated, and I learned how to work with my sensory things, and I gave myself things that feel nice, that are soft. Like, if you're a divergent, you may have sensory seeking things, and you will seek out really soft things. You will seek out really heavy things. I used to wear lots and lots of layers, and I didn't realize that that's because I just like the weight of it. And I also used to carry a backpack of books around because I liked the weight of it. If I had known all of these things, could have given myself those things by, like, wearing a weighted vest. You can actually get jackets made that have weights in them that it doesn't look like you're wearing a weighted vest. So you can be out in society and remove some of that overstimulation from your body and just be living the best life ever. And that's truly now what I feel like. So I go out a lot with my headphones on because I now see this as I need to live as autistically as I possibly can so other people realize that this is normal for me. For me, the world is too noisy and the world is too much. So I sometimes wear sunglasses and a big hat, and I wear a toque that compresses my head because it feels good. When you allow yourself to make these accommodations, to make these things for yourself, and here's the thing, you don't need to go and do this out in the world like I do if you're not comfortable enough to do that yet. But what you can do is accommodate yourself when you're at home so you're not being overstimulated all the time, that you're only being overstimulated when you're in your working mode. And when you come home, you can turn your house into the bat cave, literally turn off all the lights, hide under weighted blankets, and watch your favorite movie for the 1 millionth time. And when you start doing that, your nervous system will start to regulate and you won't have moments of emotional outbursts. When you can actually start to realize that your brain works differently and that you can adapt to your environment and you can do things that help you in a way that you can go out and thrive, let me tell you, life just gets that much better. And I sit here in a place of privilege because I retired early and I have turned being divergent into my work. And I have started to heal myself through my ancestral traditions, which is healing with the land and healing with the trees. And I can express that now so easily because I know that that's what I'm meant here to be here to do. And that clarity only came when I allowed myself to be truly autistic. And what that means for me is I just do my work. I sit with my trees in the morning and I do my meditations and I do my healing work. And when I'm sitting in that place, it's almost like my brain just goes, ah. And then it sees all the connections. And then I can go, well, wait a second. If I'm feeling this, I bet you my community is feeling this. And what if I share this with my community? And wait a second, what if there's a whole bunch of other people out there that are experiencing this too, and we can learn from each other? Because I bet you there's other people feeling this. And when we can learn from each other, it was just 1313 on the video. When we can learn from each other and we can share wisdom with each other, we can access this wisdom quicker. We can access this wisdom easier. And I just am starting to realize that more of us need to be sharing this wisdom. So I think what you're going to see in the next little while is a lot more people like me just living authentically divergent lives and sharing how living those authentically divergent lives made their lives so much better. Because for the first time in my life, I actually feel like I'm thriving. I actually feel like I'm doing the work I'm supposed to be doing. This morning, I actually got my camera back out for the first time in a long time, and I went out and I photographed an egret that had decided to land in our river. And I don't think they belong here, so I think this might be a big deal. Um, but I'm wanting to be creative again. And as a divergent thinker, that is what makes our blood just get so excited. It makes us like, oh my God, like that feeling. I remember when my nephew was a kid and they would watch fire, they would actually do this thing. There would be like, that's autistic joy. And that's what I get when I light my fires and I heal in the traditions of my ancestors. And when I do the work that I'm meant to do. I went down there with no, like, oh my God, what if people are going to see me? Oh my God, what if somebody sees me sitting here meditating with the egret and taking pictures of it? Like, no, I didn't do any. I went down there confidently. I had all my gear on and I just sat and meditated with the egret and took some amazing pictures of it. And I was in my autistic joy and I was in that space. And I bet you these are probably going to be some of my favorite pictures because that autistic joy is now ingrained in that image for me. And every single time I see that picture, it's literally brought back. We have this thing called limerence. And when we have a memory, and when we create one, if we put joy into that memory and we actually like remember that moment and we remember that autistic feeling, whenever we have that memory again, all of those feelings come flooding back. So this is one of the things that I'm learning how to harness is do more things that bring you joy and chase them with abandon. Like, make it an act of rebellion to chase your joy as a neurodivergent. Because that gift of limerence, when I first learned about it, I thought it was the most horrible thing because you learn about it in a negative way. You learn about limerence and you remember your pain exactly the way it felt. And I can do that. If I want to go back to a painful moment, I will feel that painful moment like it happened. But flip that. Learn how to live divergently. Learn how to be in your joy. And when you're in that joy, learn how to just fully embrace it and then go, I'm going to remember this way. And then allow yourself to have access to that because that is how we thrive as divergents. It's learning how to embrace those moments and fill it up so then we can put it out into the world. So I can make these videos, so I can take these photographs, so I can create this magic, so I can let my healing energy be out in the world. And when we do that, so much magic can happen. And I've learned how to use sacred medicines such as cannabis. I actually have started using CBD, like high content CBD, to get rid of the pain in my body so I can access the autistic joy. And that has just been like, I can't even tell you. This has a total of 8% THC, which is the psychoactive part, but it has 11% CBD. And that's the part for me that I'm learning about with my brain and my specific level of chemicals in my brain. This brings me to this level where I can actually feel this autistic joy for the first time in my life, and I'm learning how to use it. So, wildlings, learn to live divergently in your body. And when you do, you can have these moments of joy and you can learn to thrive. And it doesn't have to be 24/7. I gotta go. Talk to you later, wildlings.